Hello and welcome to Attackers of Opportunity. This is your DM, Michael. I'm sitting around a virtual table with some of my friends, and we're about to play some D&D.
Yeah!
Alrighty, folks. When last we met our heroes, they had started off by attending the funeral, a rather somber affair for Burial Silverthrust, one of the ancient heroes of lore that they had discovered alive and in possession of one of the Necromancer Lord's ancient artifacts. They were able to destroy the artifacts, and with that, the life force left Barrios, leaving him deceased. They attended the funeral, where the funeral kind of came under assault by these odd three-armed, three-legged creatures around the size of large dogs or small wolves that had run out of a dark fissure in the wall. They proceeded down, tracking what was there, spending probably a good couple hours of walking and probing deeper into ground until they found, while hunting around underground, they found sort of the ruined remains of, call it a tar bubble that had sort of popped and presumably was where these little three-armed, three-legged creatures had come from. There was at the back of the boil, there seemed to be a passage even deeper underground in a very narrow chasm. Fortunately, most of the party was able to get through fairly easily. It was definitely close quarters for Valok, whereas Moonbeam was able to glide on easy peasy. Coming out the other end of the kind of goo-covered tunnel, the party found this mammothly large underground cavern, and in it rested this titanically large beast, 35 feet tall, 25 feet wide, 3 arms, 3 legs, a giant gaping maw on its head, eyes on either side, surveilling the area around and breathing in deep, wheezing gusts. The party took a moment to pause, figure out where the heck they were, and then decided to do battle with the creature. There were magical walls called up, there were spells flung, there were punches, there were all sorts of manner of attacks, and finally this creature was brought low. As it died and began to decay, however, a thrumming of energy filled the cavern. Lights started to flash, lightning arcing towards Valok, a pressure wave of energy feeding into him, swirling around him, even lifting him up off the ground an inch or two, and here we are opening the scene today with that energy still flowing around Valok. And Valok, I need you to roll me a wisdom saving throw, please.
All right. I have experienced a quickening.
Yes, exactly.
There can be only Valak.
There can be only Valak. Wisdom saving throw has been thrown, and the result of that is a 14. Plus 3, 17.
17. All right. You get these flashes in your mind. You see a valley deep within a mountainous area, and you find yourself in this flash floating above, flying around as though you were perhaps a bird or something that would just coasting on the wind around you. You see a second flash of an ancient tunnel fallen in ruins with odd etchings on it that seeming to be many-headed or many-tentacled being painted on the walls. And finally, you see a third flash of a partially destroyed wall with a creature, something overly large and green, gangling legs and a gaping mouth out on its front, sort of, if you think, a frog that was rather vicious with fanged teeth standing on its hind legs. That's about what you would get for that image. But this cracked wall and a creature almost reaching out from the wall itself, and you see a broken, dead Goliath body laying at the base of this wall. And with that, you flash back to yourself, and suddenly the world kind of spins around you. Your perceptions seem a little sharper. You seem a little more aware of what's going on around you. Roll me a d6, if you would, please.
Valak, are you all right?
3.
A 3. You get a permanent +1 to your dexterity.
Hey, nice.
Not bad.
Was
Not
that
bad,
the
not
quickening?
bad. The quickening.
Valak?
Yeah.
Question: do I recognize the body, the Goliath? It's me. Is it my brother?
Me?
Is it me?
Am I the problem? Is it me?
Roll a, we'll call it a perception.
11.
11. It had almost the quality of a dream. You saw oversized blue flesh. You
Gotcha.
recognized tribal markings, but who the body was, you couldn't tell whether it was yourself or something else.
Oh, but he recognized tribal markings.
Mm-hmm.
Roll me also, if you would, just a straight intelligence check as well.
Uh-oh.
I know, that's what I was thinking. I was like, almost intellectus has to do intelligence check, yeah?
18.
18.
Oh, shit.
Oh, you got a 19?
Yeah, I rolled a 19.
Damn.
All right, on a near perfect roll, I will give you this. You now understand a fact of the universe. Some piece of information has now embedded itself deep in your brain. The Dark Lords, the creatures, the entities, the powers that create the fabric of the universe that you live in. You now recognize that their perceptions of the universe are different than yours. They see probabilities, they see patterns, they see the way things could be. And to that end, they activate agents in the world. They have at almost all times a champion and an avatar. The champion is something, someone, some entity, some power that is meant to correct the world, that is meant to continue be at a place where it can continue to function. The avatars are the failsafe. They are the fire that will burn down the cosmos if something goes very far out of whack. So the champions attempt to stop it from going out of whack. The avatars burn it before it goes too far out of whack. Does that make sense?
Gotcha.
Okay.
So the champions are like the arbiters of the rules, and the avatars are the flood.
It's a close. The champion is the army who sees that there's a problem and goes in and tries to beat the bad guy. The avatars are the thermonuclear weapons that devastate the landscape.
Gotcha. If the army fails, if I can't have it, nobody can.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you suddenly understand that as a fundamental level.
I have also been called an avatar more than once now.
You have also been called a champion.
I have been called a champion and an avatar. Okay.
It's because you're blue.
Yep.
There's good start to Avatar.
And he keeps trying to shove his braid into me, which is really
really kinky.
sort of, yeah. Yeah, it smells like pork, but yeah.
That's how him and Aubrey are so close.
I didn't need detail.
Too far. Too far.
Never.
I still haven't seen that new film.
Yeah, I haven't.
That you're referring to.
I mean, I guess I have because I've seen the movies that it's basically ripping off.
I felt Way of Water was vastly better than the first one because there was actually, some plot to it. And there were motivations that were somewhat understandable. And there was not a single word about unobtainium.
Wait, did
Oh my god, I forgot about unobtainium.
Really
Holy
weird.
shit.
The pitch meeting was like, what about the unobtainium? They were unable to obtain it.
Hey, it was unobtainable, some say.
I have not yet seen the pitch meeting video for that.
Oh boy. Apparently everybody says bro in the movie. I didn't realize. Bro.
Oh, bro.
And they're like,
really?
So the bad guy, the same bad guy. So we're just using the guy who lost. Yeah. He's
Bro.
going to do better now because he lost. Yeah.
He learned from his mistakes.
I also hear Sigourney Weaver is back.
Yeah.
That's her.
Even though she definitely
That's her
died.
daughter.
Like
Yeah, she was resurrected, right?
we watched them fail at resurrecting her.
But she has a daughter who's also voiced by her. So it's like a kid with like a 50, 70-year-old voice. I don't know. How was it?
I don't know. I haven't seen it.
I saw
We're judging. We're like, nah.
Honda. I know.
So I can answer that if you want to know, and then we can get back to the game. But
sorry.
I don't want to necessarily ruin it because it's an interesting little piece.
We'll see it someday.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yes, Sigourney Weaver does appear, and her voice is heard throughout the movie. Okay. So, Valok, you now understand these things as fundamental facts. Like you know your name, you know champions and avatars and their purpose in the world. The thrumming, the pulsing dies out after about 30 seconds or so, leaving you all in a very dark chamber, which I believe there are some dancing lights that can be called back up to help illuminate things. But the body of this creature is beginning to fall apart, decay, and reek.
All right.
I imagine most people are looking at Valok.
What the bloody hell was that?
I said, are you okay?
Valak.
I imagine that as you all, have come to accept I am the most intellectus.
Yes, sure.
Okay, well then be very intellectus.
I-
What happened?
Well, I had an experience that I believe I absorbed knowledge, and perhaps also my brain works faster now.
I'm not sure
I-
about any of that, but go on.
Good or bad?
So
Yeah.
there are dark forces as there are good forces, right? It's all in balance. Can you
Oh.
accept that?
Sure.
I don't know. I
Right.
think the dark forces are a little misunderstood, but go on.
Okay.
I give her
These
a sign.
forces, they have champions and they have avatars. Champions make sure that things operate within the set rules, right? That water's wet, shit rolls downhill, basic rules of the world we live in. And then there's these avatars, right? And the avatars exist so that if the rules get too fucked up, they just blow the world up. They destroy reality as we know.
Okay.
Doesn't seem ready.
Oh. And there is the giant frog-thinged frog monster stuck in a crack between mountains with dead bodies at its feet. Well, a dead body of Goliath.
All right, Valak, hey, buddy.
Alec is gone
Buddy,
bye-bye.
why don't you have a seat? Just sit down for a second. I think we could all use just a breather after
Might
all.
have hit his
this,
head
right?
in there. Mhm.
Yes,
Yes.
perhaps have a snack.
I would love a snack. Maybe an apple and some dried peach leather.
Dorian reaches in his bag and sees if he's got anything to give him.
Oh my, I've just had an epiphany.
Mhm.
I need to write a book of Valak wisdom.
Oh no.
The world according to Valak. It will be a bestseller.
It will be. You should
I
make
get a
sure
new-
the frog in the crack with the dead bodies is like first page.
Well, obviously. Why would I hold that back from the public?
Like giant frog, bipedal giant frog. So like,
Oh, thank
Ooh.
Oh, yes,
I-
go great detail.
Giant frog. Right.
maybe tentacles. I
Here.
hope.
Oh,
Here's your apple.
I think the cover should be an illustration of this.
Can
That
you
is the
draw
big
that?
bad that I saw. It's let's see. Let me see if I can draw for you.
Yes, actually, yes. You're
Mhm.
surprisingly
performance.
good at drawing.
Is he?
I have in the
Yes.
past drawn very well.
I don't know if you remember, it was a long time ago. He was trying to draw all the planes of existence, and he rolled a nat 20.
Oh my god, amazing.
And we were all like, oh, yes, this makes perfect sense. This is
Yeah.
strange.
Wow.
What
Oh.
a great job.
Why didn't
What
I
should
hire
I,
the right there? Illustration.
What would you like me to roll to illustrate what I saw? Religion?
Are you rolling? I just want to make sure I'm understanding. You want to draw each of the main images that you saw, or do you want to draw like the cosmos as you now understand it in regards to the Dark Lords?
Both.
I think just the frog.
I want to do a flip book.
Oh my god.
The
I take a
images I
little
saw,
time.
and then
You wanna
have
do a
that
board book
resolve
for kids.
into the cosmos as I now understand it.
Okay, I would like some combination of 3
Rusty.
wisdom or intelligence checks. At least one has to be of each, and then I want to sleight of hand.
Ooh. Number one, I'm expecting Terry
Okay,
Crews
so-
and his artist skills during this entire situation.
So
Oh.
3 what and a sleight of hand?
Okay, so I need. You'll probably do 2 wisdom and 1 intelligence. I need
Okay.
3 rolls, wisdom and intelligence, at least 1 of each.
Okay.
You know what, Valak? You look like you're a bit out of sorts.
That's a
Guidance.
21.
Yes.
That's a 20.
I gave you guidance.
Guidance, I'll use that on this.
Hell yeah.
So that's a 8.
Okay,
Great.
Yes.
And
But
then
that was a nat
the
20.
sleight of hand.
sleight of hand. And that's a nat 20.
Nat 20.
Jesus Christ, you rolled so fucking well.
I've rolled
Except for it.
amazingly well, except for that one roll.
Nat 20, dirty 20, nat 20, and then an 8.
Yeah, that's insane.
That's pretty damn good.
Yeah. Holy
Two-
shit.
2 nat 20s on 4 rolls is phenomenal.
Yeah.
I just gave a wonderful piece of like religious artistry that scholars will not understand.
but it's
like-
beautiful.
You just had this weird moment of lucidity where we all just went, "What?"
Yes.
Holy shit.
The
Okay,
hand
like
moving
when
faster than
Martin-
the eye can follow.
So the first image that you draw is that of the kind of mountain pass that you saw in your image or in your mind. And you're able to render it really in pretty fantastic detail between a 21 wisdom to kind of recall, understand the vibe, know what was an important piece to draw and add in there. And then with your 20, with your crit, a sleight of hand, you're able to replicate that fairly well. As you are kind of doing your final touches on it, something kind of just almost jiggles your elbow a little bit and adds in what almost look like, you know, the painting Starry Night, how there's the swirls in the sky as it goes. You get a little bit of motion like that, and it seems almost like it's air currents as you're drawing through. The second one, the ruined temple that you start drawing, you draw what looks to almost be an octagonal room with columns at each of the places where the walls would come together. At the kind of far end of what you're drawing, there's one wall that it seems larger than everything else in the drawing and in your recollection, and on it seems to be this core of a creature's body of some kind in relief on the wall. It seems to have 6 legs and a tail, and then all these tentacles come off the front of it, and the tentacles kind of reach out and reach around onto the other panels of the octagonal room. You also kind of sketch, again, right at the end, your elbow almost feels like it's being jostled a little bit, and you get streaks coming from the top as though it is rays of light or the sun coming down, perhaps suggesting that that is buried underground or has collapsed underground. ground, and that the entrance to that is actually through the roof. The third is the one that you get the least amount of details, is perhaps the most ethereal of mind. You get images of three walls. Two of them have crumbled down. The third has a giant crack running down the center of it. You see what looks to be jungle vines and trees and plants growing up and over the walls as you draw it, because you did crit your sleight of hand rule to draw all of this. In the crack itself, you draw the sort of creature with odd legs and a distended torso, a maw of sharp teeth kind of is partially open, and one arm seems to almost be reaching out of the wall. You can't tell if that's just someone carved a statue into a wall, or the way that the drawing is and the vision in your mind, if that's just sort of the perspective of the wall from the angle you saw it, where the arm kind of looks like it's there. I'll give you sort of the breakdown where it all starts to fall apart, though, is as you try to focus in on the body laying at the base of the wall, it sort of kind of goes and suddenly you're drawing stick figures. Everything else is in beautiful relief, and that body becomes stick figures. And as much as you try to focus your mind into drawing the details, it seems to almost get further and further away from you as you're trying to draw it. You finally stand up, perhaps even in a bit of agitation or frustration, and directly to your left is the drawing of the mountain, forming almost a triangle between where you're standing and that drawing is the drawing of the sunken temple. And then almost completing the square is this structure of just the one cracked wall and the frog monster, as you've called it. And somehow in your frustration, you're standing up and you're tossing the document. You stand up and you form a perfect square with those other three drawings.
Now do you understand? And for some reason, when you were describing that, I pictured the Mona Lisa, but with a smiley face. So like the hair, the clothing, the detail, the brushstrokes everywhere, but smiley face.
Yes, like the art restorer several years ago who just did a horrible job restoring the face of a painting.
Yeah.
And looked like a distorted kind of almost the alien scream face.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
We're all like, wow,
Oh.
Oh.
I mean, I get all that, but what happened here?
It's pretty, but
What is this meant to represent?
I do not know. Perhaps that is why I struggled to express it.
Right, because everything else is beautiful.
surprisingly beautiful.
Okay, but that means, so wait, are you this avatar now, or a champion?
I've been
Yes.
called both of those things on different occasions. So
Well, you are very big, so
yes, I am, Goliath. So I guess I am here to do a thing. And what that thing is to bring peace and diplomacy
Oh.
to this world and stop the necromancer from now.
you're like the avatar of
Beyond
hugs.
Oh.
I'm a hugatar,
Right.
which
Wow,
sounds like
so
a
we
musical
hugger.
instrument.
It does. The didgeridoo and a hugatar.
Ah,
The sounds of the Goliath tribes.
Having flashbacks to college.
No. Playing the didgeridoo. I knew it.
Didgeridoos and huggers. Mhm. Like a convention.
I want to study the art and see if anything looks familiar, looks like anything that I might have read about.
Ooh, okay. Give me Arcana checks.
Arcana checks.
A
Well,
one.
Valak
Oh.
continues to stand in this spot where he makes the square with the pieces because he feels like this is a complete artistic expression.
Yeah, with
Yeah.
him. While
Yes.
this is all going on, by the way, Moonbeam is definitely going to keep casting Druidcraft to make it smell good, since we're standing next to a horribly nasty, rotting corpse. So just so we don't all get like, ugh,
Thank you.
it's just going to make it smell good.
Only time
Oh.
Druidcraft has been useful.
I know, right?
Okay, so that's a 19 on the first one. I have cast guidance on myself.
Oh, it's just you. Sorry. Go on.
Well, anyone can stare at the drawings, but if you're staring at the drawings, you're not looting the body / cavern.
I'm not
Who wants to loot the body / cavern?
Oh, you know I do. Let me get my special dice.
That's what we have Moonbeam for.
Yeah, Moonbeam's gonna at least make herself smell good. So whenever she passes by, you can be like, "Oh, a little reprieve." Okay.
You are the handkerchief with perfume that they hold up to their nose every now and then.
Exactly. Yeah.
You spray some Lysol, but it doesn't get the whole room.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get it. You're like,
19, 14, and an 11.
14.
I rolled kind of poorly.
Okay.
Oh.
Nothing jumps out magically. those mountains ping sort of a half memory of they look a little familiar, like you've maybe seen one of the peaks, like in the background of that drawing. Maybe it looks like the peak of a mountain you've seen before. It was a 1914 for the second drawing with the sunken cavern.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that strikes you as a ritual place of some kind. You don't see an active circle, you don't see an active ritual in the drawing, but octagonal room, carvings, etchings. It was either a place of worship or a place to perform rituals at. The drawing, the last one, you don't recognize a frog monster.
Yeah. Still don't know about this one with your little frog friend, but this seems like a place of rituals, and I feel like I've seen this peak right here. Anyone else?
I got a 20 on the third one.
Ooh.
Is that the frog?
That's the frog.
Ha! I don't know if that's enough.
Okay. Did you just look at that one?
No, I looked at all three, but that's the one that I got a 20 on.
Okay. As you are looking at it in your travels, in your studies, in your, what interesting plants and things are local in the area, you look at some of the plants that he has drawn in the jungle elements here, and there are a couple of sort of odd 5-pointed leaves that he's drawn on some of the plants. And do you remember one of the explorers that you talked with once talked about jungle adventures that he went on, and on the eastern continent he talked about plants that would seemingly grow, and they'd grow on a vine, and then part of the vine would dip underground, and from there it would sprout a fern that he's remarked having 5-pointed leaves, and then the vine would go out over somewhere and it would dip underground again and another fern would pop up, so that a lot of the plants in the area were all really kind of one plant, even though they looked like multiple plants.
That's this frog thing.
That's the plants around the frog thing, yes.
Oh, okay, right.
I get it now. They got so high.
Yes.
Not that kind of. I was thinking more tree stars from Land Before Time, not pop.
Not.
That didn't even enter my mind, or else it would.
Really? That was the first thing immediately right into my mind.
It's not a pastime I partake in, so.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Teach their own.
I tell them this.
Moon.
I recognize the plants.
Huh? Were you rolling to loot around?
Yeah, I'm looting and I got a 93%.
Oh my god.
I know.
That's why we just let her do it.
Well, no, we should all do it. It's a big cavern, but yeah.
We trust her. She took most of it before we had a chance.
Just keep shoving things in my pockets. Just make it small and be like,
well, at this particular time, it's a little more, as you are surveilling the room and looking at the walls, you see multiple veins of precious materials here. You see what looks like could be a vein of diamonds. It's got that like kimberlite ore around it that crystallizes. You see a couple of other things, and you see this sort of chunks of this dark, it looks like a metal ore. You pick up a chunk that's probably about the same size as you are in your fairy form, and it feels extremely dense in your hands, and there's a couple of fragments on the ground, and then what looks to be sort of a vein that if you were to get a crew of miners down here, they could probably mine this out. But it has an almost composition that when you touch it, you pick it up, it almost vibrates or tingles in your hand as though there is something special or infused into this ore. If you want to roll me a nature or an arcana.
Gotcha. We're gonna do. Oh fuck yeah, we're doing arcana for sure. Okay. That's a 21.
21. You suspect, you think, you're not 100% sure, but quite possibly this is adamantine. Take a couple of chunks of this with you up to the dwarves. Not only would you be able to buy half the city, but you could probably make it so that like someone would make a weapon or an armor or something out of this material. It's going to take a little while, but this would be the raw material for a powerful weapon, armor, or basis for a magical art.
Yeah, perfect. I don't know if I'm sure Moonbeam has like a little map, but she's gonna mark it and like mark the path on how to get there because she definitely wants to get to more.
Okay.
So I'm taking as much as I can.
It would be difficult to get dwarves down here to do the mining if you were able to either open one of the passageways a little bit more or shrink the dwarves down while they're going through the tunnel. You could maybe do it that way. But like I said, you find a couple of broken away chunks that perhaps broke away in the fight. So you can take a couple of chunks of ore with you now as your 93.
Awesome. I see a future to use my mold earth soon.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay, so that is looting the room. That is reviewing the images. That is Valok suddenly having knowledge deep in the core of his body. This place is dark. You just had a big fight. I think at least a few people took some hits in that. Are you going to hang out here, or are you going to try to go back up to the Dwarven city while festivities are still going on in Burial Silverthrust's honor?
I mean, I'm thinking short rest.
Short rest is totally doable.
And then I wanna like search this entire cavern a little bit more.
Okay. All right. So if you guys are going to do a short rest, totally doable. I'm going to just roll a dice of randomness here for no particular reason, I swear. Okay. And then, yes, if everyone wants to loot after the hour or just investigate the chamber itself, if you want to loot, roll a perception die. If you want to investigate, roll a perception.
24 investigation.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, nice. Wait, investigation is for looting, right?
No, investigation is for trying to determine things about the cavern. Looting
just
is
looking
the
around.
D100.
Yeah.
Can Moonbeam do another one, or should you tap for the day?
Moonbeam can do another one.
Wee-hee.
I will do my
Looks
And I'm
like
so
Valok
sorry.
is spending some time rolling hit die to heal back up. That means I did a fair amount of damage to him.
17 perception.
And remind me the difference between the perception and investigation for this one.
So if you are looting the room a second time,
Mhm.
you'll get potentially something of material value or an artifact or something. If you are investigating, you might get information about the purpose of the room or the entity as its body decays and things of that nature.
Gotcha.
Gather information.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's gather wealth or gather information.
Uh-huh.
Oh, well, we know which one Moonbeam likes more.
Yes.
Information?
Totally. Yes. Correct.
Oh, what's
Good
it?
guess.
About wealth?
I'll
Okay.
do 2 more.
Okay, so I'd like to actually start with Valok because there are critical things in him and in this room. Okay, so Valok has spent the short rest. He has healed up a bit. Which of those roles are you using, Kolb? Are you using the loot or using the investigate?
The investigation.
The investigation. Okay, so Valok rolls a 16 on his investigate to look at the room. One of the perhaps critical pieces, most important pieces that he notices is where this being originated in the room, like where it was sleeping before you guys started attacking it. There are multiple tunnels, openings, passages that are all filled with the same kind of goo that you guys came down the passage in, that kind of start where its body was and go into the ground and tunnel out of there. And it almost looks like perhaps this creature was either sitting at the nexus of multiple pathways or was itself the source of whatever this goo and boils out that they were sending from here out to these creatures and the stone blight, as the dwarves had called it, that had affected both Valok's village in the past and the dwarven city to this day. You are confident in your investigate check that this creature was the source of that.
So we have definitely solved the problem.
Through violence!
Yes.
I actually solved it through diplomacy and did not incur violence.
Yeah.
I speak with
You
my fists.
recall?
You just threw a fairy and a warlock at it.
Yeah.
I defeated it with the power of friendship.
There you go.
Right. Well, you're welcome.
Yeah.
I'll see your power of friendship and raise you a sword.
Exactly.
It's like, you see the Bad Man sketch where he's like, he just doesn't know what death is.
I don't recall
With,
that.
oh, it's the guy Pete Holmes when he did all his Batman parodies. He had the one where he was like, "You killed him." No, I didn't. He's sleeping. And then at the end, he shoots a guy. He's like, "You just shot him with a gun." "This is a gun? I don't kill." "What about your parents?" "They're just in a farm upstate."
Oh my god. Amazing.
Nice. All right. Dickie, what was your investigate or loot?
20 something. Where'd it go? 24.
Oh,
Nice.
fantastic.
I know.
In your investigation, and actually it looks like Dorian had a 17 perception, so I'm going to start with him and then go to Dickie. And Moonbeam, you looted, yes?
I did.
as you are looking around Dorian and you're kind of scouting out, and you have dark vision, if I recall correctly, correct?
I have super dark vision.
Oh, that's right. You've got devil sight.
Yep.
Yeah. So this room stands out in stark relief to you. You can see kind of every nook and cranny that's here. And you notice, similar to Valak, there seem to be a lot of openings out, and most of them seem to be, the 1.5 wide and filled with goo. And some of that goo is now actually seeping back into the room a little bit as it's being, gravity's kind of pulling from the tunnels that it was burning into the rock side. I don't think you get much more new information. You do notice that there's, like I said, more of these around here, and some of them seem to open right near veins of precious metal. So if you wanted to hack off a hunk of raw gold ore, 2 foot away from that is where one of these tunnels are. And none of these tunnels seem to dig through a precious mineral. They all just seem to have borne through standard rock or granite or whatever kind of stone this area is covered in.
Right. Well, I will definitely hack off some precious metals. Do you want me to roll a D100 for the looting?
Yeah, roll a D100 and then a D4.
That's a 43 and a D4.
Mhm.
1.
Okay. You spend a couple of minutes and you get a couple of ounces of gold about the size of your palm. You're able to kind of break away from one of the openings, and it's probably not hugely pure right now, but with a little bit of work or taken to someone who has the proper tools, you figure you probably get about 85 gold worth of coin out of this hunk of metal.
Okay. I mean, yeah.
And unless you wanted to spend a lot more time down here, that's what you can kind of get easy access to.
85 gold worth. Okay.
Coleman, with Dickie's 24 investigate, you hunt around and you send your dancing lights in and out and you start investigating things, and something kind of pings to your mind. All of the maps that you have looked at before, you've seen how some of the terrain can kind of affect paths and roads, and knowing what line goes to which way. And as you kind of watch and observe and pay attention to where some of the veins of precious metals are, you understand there's almost seems like a confluence of, if you extended lines out from where all of these ores are, that line would intersect where this creature was here. Almost as though perhaps if energy had pulsed through these veins of precious metals, that energy could have either originated from this creature out or been absorbed by this creature in, if people had been using this as conduits throughout the throughout the terrain. So if you needed,
I would have to follow one to find out where one of these went. Right?
It would, yes, it would certainly be tricky of that. But if you needed to either power something and try to feed energy from multiple angles, or you had something that you needed to bleed energy out of, using this as a location to be able to either force energy out and disperse it or bring energy into something, it might be a viable option.
I'm going to put my hand on it and cast scrying.
Oh, on one of the veins of metal? Okay.
Didn't you say they converged or no?
Well, it's if you, they all come out to facets on the wall. And if you kind of followed where one was and you were looking at it the wall and you did a little bit of math as where all the lines cross, all the lines would have crossed where this creature was. There's not physical lines. There's not runic etchings in the ground that all connect here. It's sort of a placement. I'm trying to think
That's
of
the spot.
Yeah. Since we talked about thermonuclear weapons earlier, I don't know if you know about how they get critical mass and reaction in the core and how it's explosions that all hit the plutonium core, but you have to calculate how each explosion is going to hit to create the critical reaction. That's the kind of thing. It's not itself the energy, but it's conduit and channeling and timing right so that all the energy hits it in the right way. So it doesn't actually touch it, but it's all the power outlets for it.
Okay.
Am I able to touch them all?
You could walk to one section of the wall and then you could walk to another section of the wall. They're all 100 feet apart.
Oh, okay. I thought
This is around the room.
I thought they all crossed in one spot. Got it.
On a map, you could draw ley lines from them, but they don't actually touch. But you could walk up to one of the sections of the wall, place your hand on it, and cast scrying if you wanted.
Mercy with us.
I'm gonna have to look at the scrying spell, and
Sorry.
D&D, it's all about math and research.
D&D.
It's D&D.
Oh, For our
Yeah.
Tenebrae Slaughter Bowl game, we did Old School Essentials, I think it was. It's basically first AD&D, first edition. So yeah, we were like, oh god, but it's
Oh my
actually pretty
God.
fun.
Interesting. My brain would hurt.
We won because flying in the old school is 120 feet. So yeah, our team basically cast fly, flew up, got the ball, flew back. Like within 3 turns, we'd scored. It was just absurd. The other teams could not.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Damn.
Okay, so scrying, looking at the spell, it's 10 minutes to cast for one.
Oh, forgot about that part. Yeah, we got time.
Well, we're on a short rest, so fuck it.
It
Yeah, we're on a short
does,
rest.
it does say that the target is a particular creature you choose that is on the same plane of existence as you.
Yes, the
You're-
usual. The boy, the necromancer.
The boy.
Well, okay, if you're touching it and scrying the necromancer, that's a totally different thing than if you're trying. I thought you were trying to scry as though you were going to then look down at fiber optic cable wise and try to see where it came out.
Oh, I was just thinking if it would somehow enhance a spell.
Oh, that is a completely different thought than I thought you were going. Okay,
Oh.
great. Roll me an Arcana check.
I was seeing if it was like, empowering. And what did I get? A 10.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, double deuce, baby.
Okay. You feel the energy of the spell push out from you as though you had cast the spell, but it didn't expend one of your spell slots to do it.
I like this wall.
So shiny.
Why do you like that wall?
Does anyone need healing?
I mean, I'd imagine most of us.
Great, come here.
I will walk over to
You get
Dickie.
a car. And you get a car. Can I just keep casting like cure wounds on people?
You can roll me an intelligence saving throw every time you want to cast it. Isn't
Alright.
it?
Moonbeam doesn't really need any, so do your thing.
We a 14.
Okay.
How many of you are there? 1, 2, 3, 4 of us. So 16.
Okay.
And remember,
6.
you can
What?
add 3 if Valak is near.
Mm-hmm.
9.
9.
Okay, so you are able to cast 2 without using any of your internal energies, and then on that third one, you feel it bleed out as though normal casting for you.
Oh, this one's tapped out. I go to another one, touch that, and cast it a 4th time.
Okay.
With a 14.
Okay, it'll kind of cast out of the stone. You perhaps begin to put together a theory of natural energy had flowed or arcane energy had flown through it at one point, and you were feeding off of the residuals of here. Maybe over time it will rebuild itself. That piece you don't know, but at least for the little bit of energy here, you could, if you needed to cast something else here, you could try to tap into the energy that had coursed through these veins of material.
I like it.
And Moonbeam, you looted a second time, I believe it was. What's your number on that?
69.
69.
Honestly, I think these are the
Nice.
same dice I got a 69% on last time.
Yep.
Too. They're
Nice.
kinky dice.
Well, nice.
Mhm.
Yeah, you see. Oh, you didn't get the. So I wanted. Sorry, I'm debating with myself now because I had a thought that would be super cool. Except your character wasn't the one that noticed it.
There can be conversation.
Yeah, I feel like this is a group that talks out loud a lot, honestly.
Okay.
Just like thinking out loud.
You kind of have to because I have such big intellectual thoughts, and
Mhm.
other people have to help interpret them.
As you are flying around and you're looking at the walls, you see this kind of blue crystallized stone on the wall. You go over and you use your hand or perhaps use a spell or a cloth to just clean off a little bit more of it, and you see this vein of sapphire. It's likely the base of a massive crystalline structure that could be broken out into different stones. There are odd flecks of black that occasionally run through some of the sapphire.
Nice.
This is something, a stone this large would almost certainly go for quite a high price if you're able to extract it fairly well intact. But it's not pure sapphire. It's something else is here that's creating this kind of black ribboning through.
Ooh, very cool. Do you want me to roll to see if I can extract it?
Yes, a sleight of hand, druid craft, because you're dealing with natural elements.
Yeah.
Sleight of hand.
I also have mold earth, so I can just like mold the earth
Oh.
around it.
Mhm.
Yeah, with mold earth, you'd be able to clear a lot of material around it to the point where you could like ask Valak to come in and help you grab it out of the wall and things like that. So yes, if you wanted to spend some time doing that, absolutely.
Yes, yes, I do.
Wait,
Yeah,
you can just do that?
You can.
Hold on. There are many precious metals and minerals in this cave.
Mhm.
Perhaps we should take a little more time here then.
Sure, I can clear as much as you can carry.
Maeve, wherever you are, bring Bring the pack.
Yes.
I know you have it.
All right. If I could please get, in seeing this sapphire, if I could get Dickie, Dorian, and Valak to all roll me intelligence checks to try to recall something.
Intelligence checks, not saves, just checks.
Yes, checks.
We'll get a 2. The sapphire is very shiny. It's distracting.
So shiny.
Guidance on myself. Think, Dorian.
Dickie, did you get low too? Let's see.
I got a 4.
Oh God.
I love
I agree.
it.
I agree with Valak.
Shiny.
Wow.
I got a 12.
Okay. Dorian, you got the high. I'll give you this. It seems to your mind like you've seen a sapphire with black veining through it before in your life. You don't quite remember where.
I think I've seen a stone like this before.
Mhm.
I can't recall where. But it does look familiar.
Like ice cream.
The image that kind of is in your mind a little bit, it's like the stone was on a pedestal or something. Like you there's a flat surface underneath it in that, like, you're racking your brain for the image of what the heck this was.
I feel like it was maybe on a pedestal. It was on a flat surface. Oh, it's right there. I hate that.
All right.
It's been a long day. I might come back to you later.
Yes, we're all looking at it. It's right there.
It's so shiny. It's big.
What to miss.
But I've seen it before.
Dorian,
Yes.
Dorian, you almost have this flash inside your own head of a question asking of how important is it to you to remember this? Are you willing to I'll have to go into a scene. Sorry. The voice that echoes kind of in the back of your head with a silvery chime announcing and ending it seems to go, how valuable is it that you know this?
I'm not sure. What are you offering? What do you want?
As I have offered you many times, knowledge. What I want is your service. You further owe me a particular favor to be named at a future time, and I will aid you now. I'll even give you a hint about the favor if you so desire.
I would always take knowledge over lack of knowledge.
Let's just say that someone recently killed a person that they were the last of their bloodline and has unfortunately caused a problem, an imbalance in the world. I will send you to solve that problem.
All right.
Of course. Excellent. And with that, the image that had, of the stone on the flat surface suddenly crystallizes in your mind. You can see the room, and you remember the vault at Season's Glade that you had gone to originally to kind of try to find a stone large enough and powerful enough for the ritual. And there were 3 stones that they thought might have had the value and kind of the structure to handle the spell.
Right.
One of them was a sapphire that had been put on a tabard on one of the pedestals. And I believe it was Dickie who reached out and touched the stone and was very nearly thrown across the room with just the touch of it. And they said, oh, that's a precious sapphire that we had a guy, a long time ago tell us to hold on to that one. And that was about football sized. The sapphire structure that you're looking at now and the stone is more like those on TV sets and movie sets. They have the large cases that they bring in like sound equipment and things in that are
Pelican case.
Yeah, a pelican case.
Yeah,
2 foot by 3 foot by 4 foot.
Mhm.
It's that size.
I got a big boy.
This stone is actually quite dangerous. I remember, Dickie, you touched one of these in the vault.
Oh.
Remember what happened?
Yeah. That one? Is it that one? The bad one?
Well, it was much smaller than this, obviously, so we should take great care
Don't
with
touch it.
this. And
You
As
know,
Valak and
it was-
Moonbeam are sitting there just like coddling it.
Just me. It might have been a bad day. Let's have Moonbeam touch it and see what happens.
Oh, I'm already there.
Oh, well, see, it's fine. It must have just, I won't touch it.
She's straight up hugging this thing.
Starts humping it.
It tingles when you touch it, but I think it was, as I recall, Dickie attempted to identify what the stone was or cast a spell or something on the stone, and that's when it reacted to him so badly. No, wait, maybe it was something else. Shoot. There was something that you did that triggered it. This is just touching it, so it's not throwing you across the room right now.
I rolled something. I don't remember what.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you rolled it. You rolled a check. You did. I would have to go back and listen to the episode now because it's been a while since that.
Yeah.
But yeah, this stone definitely does tingle when you touch it.
That's how it works.
Valak, if you are going to attempt to like pick this stone up and break it away from its final moorings and attachment points after the stone, at that point I'm going to need to roll from you.
Okay. What kind of roll would you like?
I don't know. It seems like it would be a strength check to either pull it or
I'm thinking athletics.
athletics. Okay, I'll let you roll athletics to get the stone away from the wall.
and I
That's,
see Dickie and I holding
that's
each side of the with the bag of holding open.
Yes, yes.
And then
Come
Valak
on, buddy.
Maybe you should take your gloves off.
This is is
Wow,
very large
one.
than Blaze.
Yeah. So with the 10 athletics, which is actually a 1 on the dice for you, Valak. So it's a skill check. A 1 is not an automatic failure on a skill check. A 10 is a reasonable number. So I'm going to say that it seems lodged in place, and you are going to have to try a second time to get it out of the wall if you want it.
For the record, I just rolled a nat 20 on my strength.
Okay.
Wow,
A
but you're also-
21 athletics and a nat 20 from the pixie. Yes, the moonbeam, you notice as Valak is trying to muscle it out and around, that there are almost crystalline tendrils coming out of the stone that seems to still be kind of lodged, like think roots of a tree as the stone had pressed in and around it. So you're able to shape some of the stone off of it and around using your meld with earth stone shape?
Mold Earth.
Mold Earth.
Mhm.
Like using the Mold Earth spell, and you're able to even cut some of those extra little tendrils and root systems off. Valak, with your 21 athletics, you are able to grab the stone and you kind of put your arms around it. You lift up. Fortunately, you have not been skipping leg or back day, so you are able to
Yeah.
muscle this stone out of the ground, and as you touch it and like full on grabbing it to your body, arms wrapped around, giving it a giant hug, it tingles and almost starts to, it feels a bit like burning, like there's bolts of energy jumping from cell to cell in your body as you are holding this, and
there-
as you get it back a foot or two from and away from the wall, all 4 of you feel the stone around you begin to shake and shake and shimmy around you as the stone has been removed from the ground.
The whole cavern, you mean?
The whole cavern.
I run for the exit.
Thank you for listening to Attackers of Opportunity. We really enjoyed making this podcast, and I hope that you enjoyed listening to it. If you did, please go ahead and leave a 5-star review on iTunes or whatever platform you're listening to this podcast on. Also, you can find us on Instagram at Attackers of Opportunity. Have yourself a great day, and we'll see you on the next episode.